Hey you guys, happy Thanksgiving, which is tomorrow. I just want to make a brief video again about getting divorced. I know that some people have the idea that getting divorced is like this easy thing, but a breakup is actually the most difficult thing that people go through. I think aside from maybe physical pain or war or poverty, like breakups actually are really traumatizing because it has to do with our limbic system and our attachment system. And during those last few years of my marriage, when I felt the most emotional pain, I had a really hard time figuring out how to be okay with that pain. I talked to a few therapists, two that I can recall right now, and they didn't know what to do. And I just remember feeling like I just wish someone would hit me over the head with a frying pan so I don't have to feel this pain. It's really painful. Um, and the one therapist recommended taking Valium, which I tried that once, and it's like, that's not helping. Now I'm just like a little bit out of it, but I'm still in pain. And then one night I decided, well, maybe if I drink some wine, that'll help. But it didn't. I was just tipsy and I was still in pain. And I just felt less powerful to do anything about it. I tried different coping strategies. I tried talking to him, but he was, like I said, he was emotionally like a little bit walled off. And he didn't have the empathy to understand what was happening. It was only after I left him that he actually felt the pain. Then he felt the pain, but he felt it too, but he felt it later after I left. That's why you have to really tune into your partner and listen. When they tell you they're unhappy, you got to pay attention, because if you think everything is fine, that's your world. You got to get into their world. But like I said, in divorce cases, although women do file for divorce, 80% of the time, the statistics say the man does agree to the divorce. I don't know any cases where the guy's like, oh my God, I didn't see this coming, or I don't want her to divorce me. But we do know that among college educated people, the divorce rate is only 15%. I think maybe poverty or life skills have something to do with the divorce rate. I don't know. I will say, though, that this idea that women are, the statistic that women file for divorce doesn't tell you who asked for the divorce or who wanted the divorce. I just think that the women are more likely to take the lead because the guy won't do it. He's more willing to put up with a bad relationship, or he's more oblivious to how he's neglecting her. Maybe men are more likely to be the bad partners, and so they don't care that she's unhappy. I don't really know. It would be interesting to know, but there's this idea among the incel community, or among people who hear that statistic, that 80% of divorces are filed by women. Well, if you're college educated, your divorce rate is only going to be 15%. Or women, wait, if women file for 80% of divorces, but most of those divorces, the fewest of those divorces among the college educated, I do not know how to break that down, because we're not saying 80% of marriages end in divorce. That's not true. I think it's more like half, or 40%. But when a divorce is filed, 80% of the time it's the woman. Does that mean that among college educated people, 15% of the time it's the woman and 85% of the time it's the man, because he feels more empowered? I think that's what that means, that men are filing 85% of the divorces among the college educated. Is that what that means? But anyway, there's this idea that women just go around, oh, I can't get married because she's going to blindside me with a divorce. And they have this idea of these women as these like demanding creatures that can never be satisfied. I had a guy leave a comment on one of my videos being like, oh, he was unavailable. You mean he didn't kiss your feet every day, twice? Or, oh, I bet you're sorry that you divorced him. I bet you realize you made such a mistake. No, I am so much happier. I don't cry anymore. I don't need to drink too much anymore. I feel so much more content. But there's this idea of women as like these cheaters that like, oh my God, you don't meet my needs, so I'm going to go off with this guy. Or monkey branching, which is like, oh, didn't get that branch. Let me catch this branch. You know, like that's not how it is. Like relationships are really deeply rooted to our attachment system. That's why people, even guys who cheat, they won't divorce the wife. Like that's your home, that's your family, that's your financial security, that's your base camp, that's your security in life. People don't readily give that up. And when people break up, it's very traumatic. I just wanted to just let you guys know that I'm really happy in my life, but I was the same person through my marriage, but around the time that was getting closer to the end of my marriage, the last few years, there were many times I was crying. I never cry anymore, but there were many times I was crying, and when I cried, he would get upset with me, especially when the crying was about him. This is a bad sign. And I didn't know how to console myself because I felt this deep pain. And not only could I not go to him because he didn't care, I didn't know how to console myself. I went to see a couple therapists. One told me to take Valium. I tried that. That didn't work. Now I just kind of felt under Valium and I was still in pain. One told me, I just don't know what to tell you. So one night I thought, well, maybe I'll just drink some wine. Maybe that'll help. But it didn't. I was just tipsy and I felt less powerful to be with myself. So that didn't help. And then I kept thinking, man, I kept thinking if I could just knock myself over the head with a frying pan and knock myself out so I don't have to feel this pain. And I had my meditation practice, I had my workouts, I had my friends, and I couldn't shake this pain. And then the pain was really bad towards the end. I just remember being so heartbroken and feeling such a weight of pain on me. And I had all the different things that used to give me pleasure, I could feel no pleasure. I used to be able, and I still do, like right now I'm looking outside at the trees, I'm looking at the birds, and I feel some joy, and some pleasure. How the sun is on the trees and how the leaves are moving. I get pleasure from things. I couldn't feel any pleasure. So I'm like, I gotta find some pretty flowers. I gotta take my dog. I had a German Shepherd at the time, a lab. He was a black lab at the time. Take my dog for a run. Look at some pretty, at the time there were springtime blooms. Look at the blooms, and I could feel no pleasure with any of it. So I kept trying to do different things. I went to yoga. I went to CrossFit. I was trying to find where I could get rid of the sadness and feel some pleasure. And I had friends. I could talk to, and I would just pour my heart out to them. And it was very, very difficult. I would talk to my ex-husband and be like, hey, I would like to have this kind of time with you. And he would just be like, I'm just not interested in that. Anyway, it was very, very, very difficult. And I didn't even think about divorce. I was just trying to figure out how to be okay with the pain. But then when I did think about divorce and when I made that decision, things were instantly relieved. But yeah, it's not a thing that people take lightly. I do think that people, when I hear that people got divorced, they often look very happy, but they're not talking to you while they're going through the sad stuff. Just from working with men, I often see men who went through a breakup 3 to 6 months before they come to talk to me, because while they're in that new phase of having gone through the breakup, they don't want to talk to anyone. People will often drink more, eat more, And then 3 to 6 months go by, and then they're like, oh my God, I gotta pull myself together. I've gotta get back into my fitness and get back into the game, and I have to get out of the house. Breakups are no joke. They're deeply traumatizing to our attachment system, and I don't think it's respectful or even factual to make fun of it. I do think there are some people who treat relationships very callously, who just use people. That does exist, but I don't think that's the common one. I think people are usually very heartbroken. By the way, I am reading the comments again. Now what I just do, if someone's disrespectful to me, I just hide them from my channel. I think they can still watch the videos, but they can no longer comment. I think that people have to use respect and proper boundaries to comment. And if they can't do that, then they just, I don't want to see their comments, frankly. I think YouTube has done a much better job of weeding out the comments. But anyway, that's what I wanted to say about divorce. Like, it's not an easy thing. It's hard for people that go through it. And just because a woman files doesn't mean she's gleeful. Like, oh my God, I get to divorce now. Yay, I got this guy's money. That's not how it is. It's deeply traumatizing. For the majority of people who do it, they do it as a result of having gone through so much pain and seeing no way out. And being with someone who doesn't really want to work through it, frankly. Because when you ask people, to ask the guy, did you want the divorce too? They're like, yeah. In my case, he agreed to it. You know, we both agreed to it. So that's the thing about divorce and about breakups. That's it. That's all I wanted to say on the topic of divorce.